Sam is here. Welcome. We'll give everybody a minute here to jump on. I forgot to copy the link to Facebook, so I'm doing that super fast, just in case somebody is waiting for it there. What have you been up to today, Sam?
Studying for tests.
What's it on this week?
We do renal, kidney stuff.
I think that just made it worse. Hang on 1 second. There we go. Clean that camera a little bit. Is the kidney easier than the heart?
For me, it is. I don't know. It just makes more sense to me in some regards.
All right. There we go.
Like I feel like. I mean, I did okay on my heart test, but sometimes with some of the other systems, it's easier for me to like walk through in my mind like what happens if there's an issue.
So, all right. So Grammy is here. Welcome, Grammy. Thanks for joining us. We called Grammy earlier today because Annie lost a front tooth, and then her other front tooth is holding on by a thread, so it doesn't have like the tooth to balance on, so it was literally right in the middle of her gap, just hanging there. So it was funny. So we called Grammy and showed it to her.
Let's see, we have Beth here from Illinois and Arkansas. Prepper.
Thanks for joining us. It's a nice day here today. Let's see, I mowed the lawn today. That's like, how long does that take? 2.5 hours, you think? I can't do it all at once, right? Because we got all the kids. So it's like 20 minutes and stop and 20 minutes and stop. So I think it's probably about 2.5 hours. But I got it all done, which feels good because I hate having it looming over or like you're half mowed and then your lawn looks like it has a terrible haircut. So it's all done.
It's been raining the last few
Yeah,
days.
and then it gets so thick you can't get the mower through it, or the mower gets stuck every 2 inches. So you really got to stay on top of it in the spring. So, but it's done for the week. So we won't have to do it again until probably next Monday. So that was good. Let's see. Charlie is here with Judy. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. So today we're going to talk about some livestock plants. So we've kind of been talking about it for a little bit. We came up with like our preliminary plan in the winter, which was to get more sheep and more meat goats. But now that it is spring and we've been trying to buy things, we're finding we can't really find what we want necessarily for the price that we want it at. And so we've been looking around. We may adjust the plan a little bit. So we want to talk to you about some ideas, see if any of you have any experience, what your thoughts are, and that kind of stuff.
Hello, Chris from finally sunny California.
Awesome. Enjoy the sunshine. Yeah. So anything else you want to talk about before we talk about animals?
Nope. I'm halfway through my last term, so...
Feeling groovy?
We're cruising. Yep, feeling groovy. Feeling good.
Would you consider the emails you sent today the beginning of applying for jobs?
Yeah. Yep.
So.
I started trying to make some connections with people, so maybe I'll have an interview. A lot of I'd say half of my classmates have jobs already. And
but they can't start till like August or September,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, we can't start. Let's see. I don't know when we technically... Most hospitals will probably start us in September. Our transcript will have August 18th as our graduation date. So most of my classmates will start in September. And the hospitals are on it when it comes to hiring nurses. Like, they get interviewed like a day or two later. A lot of the hospitals have 2 or 3 interviews you have to go to. But most of my classmates, once they apply for a job, they're hired, I'd say, within a week a lot of times, depending on how quick you can get in for the interviews and such. Which blows my mind that, like, we don't have a degree, we haven't even done practicum yet, and they're already hired for September, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
Well, it feels good, though, to have a job where you feel like
you're wanted,
and, like, there's a job out there for you instead of kind of like we graduated the first time around in 2008, right after the recession hit, and suddenly there were no jobs, and we had degrees in the arts, and we were like, well, the job landscape is much different as far as the arts go than when we started, when, the economy was way up. And so it feels good to graduate and feel like your job is gonna, or your degree is gonna, like, it's gonna move you somewhere, and it's gonna move you somewhere quickly. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping to apply a couple different places so we can kind of contrast and compare what they're offering. But let's see. Anne is here. She says her husband spent several hours mowing today too, and then they're gonna break ground for their new garden.
Awesome.
That sounds exciting. Homestead Nana is here.
Welcome, and
Thanks
Empty
for joining
Nester
us.
is here. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. All right. So animals. As far as animals go, so we already have our geese and our ducks. And we bought the baby chicks, which you guys have seen, and they're doing great. They've been moved outside, getting bigger. So as far as eggs go, like, we're good. We got lots of eggs, and more coming when the chickens start laying. This summer, this fall.
Yeah.
But as far as meat animals go, we were planning on doing 2 meat goats and 2 meat sheep was our plan. So last year we butchered 1 dairy goat, which she was kind of skinny mini, but just to try it, and then 2 meat sheep, which we're really enjoying the sheep. I actually made sheep leg in the crock pot the other day, like a barbecue sheep leg, and it was really good.
It was delicious. It was amazing.
So that's a nice way to cook it. And then, so we definitely wanted to do that. But as we've been looking around, just for reference, so last year I bought sheep, and they were $125 each. And Sam at that time told me that I paid a little bit too much. I should have gone more like 75 to 100 if I shopped a little harder, but didn't really have time to shop harder, because at that point Annie was doing therapy 5 days a week, and the people who had these sheep were literally 5 minutes from the therapy center. So I was like, this is perfect. Like, drive down the road after therapy and pick them up. And so this year, as we started looking, I decided I'm not going to pay more than $125 a head, because that's what I paid last year, and we felt like that was a little much. I want more like 100 or less. We just, like, people are asking $250 to $300 per head of sheep, and if I buy a lamb at $250 or $300, the meat is going to be $20 or $25 a pound once we get it back in the freezer in the winter, right? And that doesn't really make sense. I mean, if you got money coming out of your ears and you just really want lamb, like, okay, whatever, but that's not us, right? We want to raise our meat animals because we want it to be less expensive than buying the same product from somebody else.
We at least want to be cost conscious.
Yeah, I guess cost conscious is better.
It's not that it has to be like so cheap for us to do it. That's nice, but anyway.
So but while we've been looking around, we noticed that one of the things we thought about, the meat goats that we found, which are really cute, and you'll meet them this week in our vlog. They're so healthy, and they're doing great, and the lady that we bought them for has more, and so we thought, well, we could go back and get 2 more, and that would be 4, like we wanted when we would have 4 meat goats, is one of the things that we thought. But that doesn't really give us diversification as far as what's going to be in our freezer next year, which
and they're
we
weaned
get bored
already.
Yeah,
too.
we don't have to bottle feed
We don't
them.
have to bottle feed them, so that's awesome. That's a huge time saver to buy our little baby goats a little bit older.
Right. And so the other thought was maybe we should get a calf, like a bottle calf. The girls would think that was adorable anyway. And the bottle calves, if you look kind of looking around the local market, cost as much as the sheep, $250 to $300. And so we would just get 1. The downside to the bottle calf is obviously a calf is a much longer investment as far as time goes, right? Thinking 2 years.
Probably, yeah.
2 years.
18 months, 24 months.
Which means you got to feed it over winter, hay, things like that. Where the sheep, you don't. You just raise them and then you butcher them when winter hits. You don't really have to buy hay, which is great because we can't cut our own hay here. But that's kind of one of our thoughts. I don't know if you guys have experience. I don't know if a bottle calf would be lonely with 2 goats or if they would be buddies and that would be okay. What people's thoughts are, if anybody has any thoughts. That's kind of what's been.
We would have to keep one of the goats over winter.
Right.
Well,
we also talked
about. The
about.
plan keeps getting more and more
complicated.
Hello, Tara. Thanks for hopping on.
If we just bought 1 more goat, another female. So the ones that we have now are 2 females, and we would buy 1 more female from the same lady we bought the other 2. And whichever one we felt was the best looking, as far as the meat breed goes, they're boars, how do you say it?
Mm-hmm.
They're boar goats. We would keep that one and just be patiently looking around for a buck that somebody didn't want, and then we would breed her and start our own line of meat goats. So we would butcher 2, keep one and keep a cow. And so we'd always have 2 animals to keep each other company in the winter. So
Katie says, I've seen bottle calves go for $25 at auctions.
right, and so that's the other thing. People keep telling us we need to go to the auction.
Yeah, we've never been.
We have never been, and so to go to the auction right now, it would be me with 6 kids, which scares me a little bit, especially when I don't know what to expect or what to do. I feel like that just would not be a positive experience, which is why I haven't done it, but maybe it's something where I need to bite the bullet. I don't...
We've got, in another few weeks, I'll be done with this term, though.
Yeah.
We could...
So we've talked about going to auction, too. But you've said a couple things that made you nervous about auction. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing in an auction. I'd be afraid I guess the main thing is to try and make sure your animal is healthy. But I don't know that much about cattle. So I'd be afraid I'd buy... I guess if it's $25, it's not that big of a deal unless you buy something that's really unhealthy. Katie says the calf would be happy with the goats.
Okay.
And Brenda is here from Rainy, New Hampshire.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us, Brenda.
I think we at this point we probably have enough experience with animals that we could look at an animal.
Be like, yeah.
And maybe it's not going to be the most well put together animal, which doesn't matter so much for us because it's just going to be a butcher animal.
And I don't know.
Probably tell
if we
healthy.
could. I know there's some older gentlemen who we know through church. Where going to the auction is kind of their fun hobby, and so I'm sure one of them we could kind of talk them into coming with us. Because the other issue is auctions are in the middle of the day. They're not like on the weekend. They're like Thursday at 10 or whatever. But having them come with us and help us, that they might be willing to do that because that's kind of what they do for fun. They don't buy stuff every time, but they just like to go watch. And so somebody who kind of knows what's going on might be helpful too. So
yeah, that would be. Let's see. Katie says the kids would love going to an auction.
I know they would, but it's one of those things where they would love it, but it would be so stressful. Once I know what's going on, then I can have a plan, and then it is not stressful. I have no qualms about taking everybody to therapy or any kind of appointment, really, where they allow me to bring siblings, because I know exactly what to expect, exactly what to tell the kids to expect, whether it's in the waiting room or a certain store. But when we get somewhere I haven't been before and I have to kind of guess how it's going to go, and then I tell the kids what we're going to do and we get there and it doesn't line up, it feels like mass chaos. It just doesn't go well. And so I would not want to go the first time with the kids. Maybe the older two, they would be fine, but not with all the little ones. I got to know exactly what to expect. Should I bring snacks? How many strollers do we need? Can they be loud, or all those kind of things, so that they know what to expect, and so that we're prepared to be successful and not to be in other people's ways. True, because 6 kids is a lot of kids, and not everybody finds children to be a blessing. And sometimes we annoy people, just not even because they're loud, but because they're just bodies in the way. If there's one spiritual gift my children have, it's standing in the middle of doorways so nobody can get
Every
through.
single doorway.
Any doorway.
Or the middle of the kitchen, right where everyone has to walk all the time.
They can block the way. So
I would almost say they do it on purpose, but I know
they don't. They just don't think about it. And so we have to be prepared. So Jepco is here. Thank you for joining us. So I think a cow might be... I think the other thing is... the other issue with the cow is...
We would need to build some kind of a lean-to or a structure to be able to house a cow, because it's going to get bigger. Right now, everything we have is just goat size.
Yeah.
And everything we have can only stand up to the force of a goat. So some of the structures we have, a cow could try to scratch its back and would probably push it over.
So I think if we were to get a cow, we do have something that would be a starter home kind of thing, but probably by winter we would have had to build something new, which doesn't necessarily have to be expensive.
Or it doesn't have to be huge or expensive.
Yeah, Thousands of Roots, which is a great channel, they have their cows in a hoop house structure that they built, and I bet you could do that. Copy their design and be a few $100s. So it doesn't have to be a $3,000 project, but it would be something that would need to be done, and whether or not we want to spend the time and energy to have to do that too when we are already fully prepared for a smaller animal.
Oh, I think a lot of people do keep their cows just out on pasture without much of a structure, but I think it would give me peace of mind if they had some kind of structure, and at least we could put like their hay under there, so it keeps it kind of nice. But anyway, Tara says, I think all kids and dogs have that gift. Yeah,
yes.
Our dog, well, she's not now. She was right in the middle of the living room floor.
She lays in the middle of the kitchen floor right when I start passing out food for dinner, and you have to keep stepping over the dog, and it makes me so
for,
mad.
Every single meal.
But she does it on purpose because she's waiting for the baby to throw things on the floor. So
Lisa is here from Virginia. Have you thought about feeder pigs?
we have. I really want to raise pigs. The issue is our fencing, so we use turbo wire fencing right now for goats, which would also be okay for a cow, but it would not, I mean, maybe it would, but I don't think it would keep a pig in. And pigs are smart enough to know that they can like cancel out the electric fence by piling dirt on it and stuff. At least from what we've read, we would need better fencing, so that's more infrastructure.
I would probably, for the pigs, would want to, at least like for our first venture, I would want to put together some kind of a paddock that had like actual physical wire that they couldn't just run through. And then if we wanted to, we could experiment getting them out on pasture with the electric. I know a lot of people do that, but I would want to have the paddock in my back pocket just in case they don't respect it. Because I don't feel like chasing pigs all over the place. That's just my, I don't know. I guess you can call it fear or whatever. But Lois is here, and Pete is here from Vermont, where it was 87 last week, and will be 30 tomorrow night when snowing.
So we know Pete's been making syrup he's been tapping and boiling down syrup. So we're curious how much did you get, Pete?
That's
all that
cool.
hard work.
Katie says, don't spend too much on a shelter. They will just stand next to it.
It's just a butt scratching post, isn't that
Probably.
what they do?
I know. They probably don't really need anything. And honestly, a lot of the electric wire, there's the edges of our pasture have a lot of trees and stuff that a cow could, if we stretch the electric just a little bit, a cow could kind of get under there. And if it was miserable, it'd have some protection. But
so these are all the thoughts as far as large livestock go. But it's looking less and less like it's going to be sheep. I think it's either going to be more goats or maybe one more goat and a cow. The good news is we have the two, so something is starting to eat our pasture. So we're moving in the right direction, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a rush to add to it, because we kind of got the ball rolling a little bit. Pete says 109 gallons. It was 1 month straight season with only 2 days off. Wow. Ooh. That's a lot of work. But you'll be enjoying it. So congratulations.
Could you use that little fenced in area for pigs, asks Chris. The area that you were asking, what do you do with it?
The one where the garden used to be? That fence isn't going to hold anything determined in. But that would
really
be
old and kind of fallen down. It would be really convenient to have pigs there, though, because if you wanted to dump leftovers, it's just kind of right
out the
outside
back door.
the door.
Would that be too smelly, though? Would that be too... Because pigs are...
It depended on how you do it. I know Justin Rhodes has done it with pigs in a confined area, but he cleaned out their manure every day. And I don't know if we want that chore. If you just let them sit in one spot, though, it's gonna be smelly. Let's see. Hello from Bonnie. She's here.
Lois says we had electric strong lower. Is that what it says? Mm-hmm. On the fences for our pigs. Okay.
Man, I know a lot of people have done that too and say it worked. Their pigs never challenged their fences, and then the other half of people say their pigs were continuously going through their fence. I kind of feel like we've talked about this before, but I feel like electric with pigs is kind of like when you're looking online and trying to do research and talking to people. Lois says the electric was low to the ground. Gotcha. It's the same as goats. Half the people will be like, we run electric with our goats, and we keep our goats in with one wire, and no one's ever gotten out in the 35 years that we've had goats. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you put in a 6 or 7 strand electric fence.
They jump right over it.
That hits so hard you can't feel your hand for 2 days. and you can't keep any goats in. It's one of those things where it's like, I know my luck. And I would be one of the people that could not keep pigs in that way. But I don't know. Maybe we should just go for it. Here's the thing. Once I graduate school, then, like, sure, let's sign up for all of it. Let's do whatever. Like, I'll have time, much more time, to help with all of these things. But I don't want to get them now where I still have to finish school. I do get some time off, but then I have practicum, which is still going to be kind of intense in a different way because I will have to be putting hours in at the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
which is unpaid. But on top of that, we have a NCLEX study class, and there is actually still homework and test taking that we have to do with that. So it's still going to be kind of... It won't be intense as far as how hard it is or the difficulty of the subject. It'll be intense as far as time goes still. And I wouldn't want to me be doing that and then Laura's chasing pigs all over the county.
Yeah.
I would feel really, really bad.
Pete says one wonders how they kept the pigs in before electric. Maybe the answer is not very well. I don't know. I do know if you look at... Okay.
I had a friend that raised pigs probably in the 70s and 80s, I would say. And he told me that they had tried electric with their pigs and they got out all over the place. And so what they finally did, and they raised them like somewhat commercially. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many pigs they had, but he said the only way that they kept pigs in was to bury wire into like a concrete footing all the way around. That's how they buried. Yeah.
And I know when you look at like old photographs and stuff, they have those fences that are made out of just the woven branches, like really tight together. I can't remember what those are called, but really tall and probably buried into the ground. But that's also why you had 10 kids, right? So people could chase the pig back in.
Well, honestly, back in the day, way back in the day, your animals just kind of ran wherever.
Yeah,
for the most part. Like if you...
I'm gonna go see.
I know some of the things that you see on movies, and especially like Disney stuff, isn't always accurate. But I have done a little bit of research. Like if you watch Old Yeller, how he just opens the barn in the morning and the cows just kind of go wherever, or maybe he doesn't let them out. They just free range. And same with the pigs. Like he has to go and he has to try and find a herd of pigs and mark them and kind of claim them as their own. I think that's the way it used to be. They just kind of run wherever. But you had to kind of keep them marked if you could. But I don't know. I think once I graduate, then maybe we'll look at some pigs. I've seen some people. I've not raised pigs, so you'd have to tell me. But I've seen a lot of people say that they prefer, like if they're just to get feeder pigs, to get them in the fall and feed them over winter and then butcher them like in the summer. They prefer that as opposed to getting their pigs in the spring and then feeding them through summer and butchering in the fall or winter. I have seen a handful of people say that they prefer that wintering of pigs. I don't know if anybody has any experience with that, but that would be interesting. That would work with our timeline of when I'm going to graduate.
Right.
We could definitely give that a shot. But hey,
hi. Somebody was being loud.
What are you doing?
You say hi. You just looking at yourself.
Are you cheesing?
Which you are you look at? You see you're on two screens. So much Pat. Yeah, so the other thing, I'm going to do butchering chickens. And I think I've decided I'm going to aim to butcher in August is what I've decided. So we won't be getting them until later this summer, but it's going to happen. I've just made that, I'm making that proclamation to myself. It is going to happen.
They're saying hi to you, Pat.
Lois says there is special fencing, hog panels.
Yeah, there is hog panels you could totally do. I know some people use those. They work really well. I don't know. What we would probably do, the plan would be, is to put together a really small paddock with physical fence and just
Like
get,
Fort Knox fencing.
yeah, and just do, I would still build it really cheap and probably just get 2 pigs and then experiment with letting them out with wire. It's probably what we do the first time.
Yeah, I think
See
that would
what
be a good
happens.
plan. Maybe come in this winter then at Teal House Farm. So, woo!
Could be. Goodness.
So, yeah. I was trying to think where my train of thought was going on that one. So maybe, but not pigs this spring.
knows?
I just don't think I don't feel prepped to be able to do that without Sam. I think that would be something that I would need him.
Right.
He's read a lot more about stuff than I am. He's much more knowledgeable, and so I would want him kind of to take the forefront on a project like that because I just don't know anything about pigs or all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, by the fall we might just have all the animals.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We just do all the things.
Yep.
So, what else? What else you got? Okay.
So for the fall, we might, if you're not careful, by the fall we might end up with meat goats, meat sheep, a beef cow,
Yeah.
and some pigs.
But there will not be a milking animal because I am just over the milking schedule right now.
That is tough, milking animals. They're calling you droopy drawers.
That was that last video, Mr. Droopy Draws. He doesn't like his diaper changed. Are you a tough guy? Tough guy. So, I did see the other day when I was looking for sheep, somebody had a llama that they'd been trying to get rid of for a while, and it was really cheap. But then I was like, we don't need a llama. But then I was like, hey, if it eats grass, that's really the goal, is to keep the pasture eaten down. But
I guess that's true. I don't know.
Aren't llamas kind of needy?
Do you have to shave a llama?
I don't know. Yeah, well, isn't that why people... No, that's alpacas where they want the fur.
I can't remember. I get alpacas and llamas confused. Let's see. Pete says, what a great smile. Aww. And then Lois says, we've had pigs year-round. There's a lot more to caring for them in the winter. More feed, keeping the water from freezing. Yeah, water in the winter is...
The bane of your existence?
Yeah, I actually don't mind animals in the winter, except for water. That's just it's miserable trying to deal with water in the winter. If I didn't have to deal with water, snow and cold temps don't bother me that much, but it's the water situation. Let's see. And then Homestead Nana says, when we had our 2 pigs in the 80s, we only had ours in a wood fence. So, there's another idea. We would probably do... Well, I don't know. I don't know what kind... I would say... I was going to say we would look for a smaller breed, like the Cooney or a cross like that.
But
honestly,
you don't want your bacon strips to be that big.
Yeah, and honestly, we would probably just go with whatever we can find closest and most convenient. So if there's somebody down the road that had one, that's probably what we go with. Now you're getting crazy. Hey, are you a ham?
Speaking of pigs, got a ham.
Are you a ham?
Pete says, I wonder if hardwood pallets with T-posts could contain pigs. We have enough pallets to build a barn at this point.
I was just thinking when Homestead Nana said they had wood fencing, I thought the exact same thing, Pete. I don't know if pallets with T-posts, because that would be really cheap. And if it's just 2 pigs, I don't need something that's 50 by 50.
Right.
You could probably do it with, well, I don't know. You'd probably still need 20 pallets or so total. I wouldn't want to make it too tiny. But yeah, I don't know. Because if they break a piece of wood, we've got so much little pieces of scrap lumber here and there, you just screw a new board on. And then if you put electric wire on the inside, hopefully that
Stinky
would
little boy.
keep them off of the pallets and maybe train them to the electric fence at the same time. So I don't know. Maybe that's
Right.
Maybe that's a super cheap way to do it.
Coming soon. Stay tuned. The other thing I was thinking about, so our ducks and geese, I feel really bad that they don't have a place to swim. I know that they're okay. Like, they're not miserable or anything. They got plenty of water. They just don't have a place to swim. I was thinking about getting them a little kiddie pool. They have them at the Dollar General now. But that just means I have to empty it out all the time, though.
Oh, you'd have to empty it out every day.
But I feel bad. They would be.
Gross
I
mess.
feel like they're meant to swim.
I know. I wish we have like a junky little pond over on the far side of our, I guess the east side of our farm. And I wish it's been kind of the dam for it was kind of like dug out at one point, so it doesn't fill very much. It would be really cool to try and clean that up, clean it out, and put the dam back in and have a nice little pond and have a place that the ducks and the geese would love.
Well, and the nice thing is if we did build that other house on this property, the driveway would go right by the pond where all your chickens and your ducks and your geese were swimming, which would be nice. The only problem, too, the other problem moving them now is they're keeping a large portion of our lawn from needing to be mowed, and I don't want to move them and then have to do more mowing. But I do think they would like to swim, and that's why I think I might get them.
No.
Ouch! I might get them a pool.
You stay with Daddy.
So Pete says our ducks were frolicking in the puddles today with the heavy rain we got. They were super happy. Yeah, I think they would like. I mean, I'm probably gonna get one. I probably won't get a huge one, just one that I can fill up and tip over. But I think because even what happens now is we just have these what are those rubber feed bowls? Is that what you would call them?
Yeah.
And we just fill them up. There's a bunch of them in there. We fill them up with water. But the first thing they do is they sit in them. Like they obviously want to be wet, and they're not big enough for them to really float. So.
Iris says ducks will ruin the pond and make it filthy.
It's already.
It's pretty gross.
It's gross.
It
That's
honestly,
not a pond that you put a kayak on and mosey around.
It's already gross and disgusting.
Awful.
They literally could not make it any worse. But it doesn't have much water. It's just really muddy.
There's a million frogs and salamanders and probably snakes over there, though. It's quite the wildlife preserve.
Well, it's a wildlife preserve as far as snakes and frogs go, but it's so gross. We don't really have animals that go up there and drink in it.
Yeah,
it's that nasty.
So they couldn't make it worse, but they would probably get some sort of strange disease if we didn't do something about it. So, which we don't need them to do. So, we did have a goose that I really thought was sitting on her eggs, but now she's not. But I still can't get close enough of the nest to clean it out because they're really protective of it. So they got a whole bunch of goose eggs. Gonna be stinking up the place soon, so it was exciting and then disappointing that she gave up on him. So
she's pretty young though.
I know, maybe next year. Maybe she's just warming up.
I bet next year, because they're not even a year old, are they?
They're just probably just about now a year old.
I bet by next year she sits on them, which would be pretty fun. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know. I wish we could let them loose because I think it would make them happy. But
and I'm just letting you know, when I order those butchering chicks, I'm probably gonna throw a Thanksgiving turkey in there too. Why not?
You go
Pat?
for it.
Why not?
You better get that turkey now, though, if you want to be ready for Thanksgiving. They take a long time to grow out. Well, longer than the chicks. They take at least 4 or 5 months, I think, to grow out.
Oh, there's our goats. I hear them. Do you hear the goats?
Are they okay?
I will say these meat breed goats are much quieter. Our dairy goats screamed constantly all day, just very loud and noisy. These dairy goats, they rarely. If you walk outside,
I'll be right back. I think one of them's stuck.
All right, they rarely make a. They're not like the other. Oh my gosh, they were just so loud. It was obnoxious, kind of. So I like that these meat breed goats are a little bit quieter. They're not disrupting the house all day screaming. So we've only had them for a few days now, and the first day or two they didn't want to come out of the fence or out of the barn, and so today they're finally out kind of eating the grass and stuff. They're not so nervous, but we're waiting for them to test the electric fence. I'm nervous that I'm going to leave for half a day to go to an appointment or something and come back and they'll both be out. I want to see them test the fence to make sure they respect it, so we're still waiting for that to happen. Love you too. You can take Pat upstairs for me. Yeah. Say hi.
Hello.
Good night.
This is probably the most childish live stream we've had so far.
Yeah, there are lots of babies on, lots of kids on this live stream. So anyway, that's what we're thinking. We always, we got lots of videos coming up. We'll keep you informed on the changes. Maybe you'll see an auction video. Maybe we'll make that foray to the auction and see what we come up with. So the other question is, could I fit a calf in the minivan? I bet I could. People fit them in cars, right? Like if I lay down the back seats, be able to get a calf in there, no problem. I think. So we'll see. Maybe driving around in my minivan with a cow's head poking out the window. So I think that's probably about all we've got going on. Sam went to go see the goats were yelling, see if somebody got stuck. They're still kind of little, so sometimes they kind of get on top of that mound of compost. They like to climb up it, but then they don't like to come down it because it's really slick. So I got to get all that compost moved somewhere better, but that's a task for another day.
Oh, where'd
Was he
Patty
good?
go?
Micah took him upstairs.
Yeah, they were fine.
So they were actually, I was telling everybody, they were actually out on pasture eating today, which was because I hadn't really seen that yet. I was getting a little worried that they wouldn't go out there and eat, but I think they just had to get acclimated to their new place.
They're just babies. They're trying to figure out
So
what's going on. They're itty bitty.
any other thoughts for the day?
Nope.
Nothing?
Just trying to finish this last term out. See if we can end up with 2 A's, finish strong.
We'll get to graduation, then we'll answer everybody's big question about how they managed to pin you at graduation with your bald head.
Oh, we'll see. I don't know.
Some double stick
I've
tape.
never seen a pinning ceremony, so I have zero clue how that works.
Lisa says, did you finish getting the goat barn cleared out? I did. It is done, and new bedding is down, and the new goats are moved in. It is all done. But now there's a humongous pile of compost just right along the side of the barn.
We have some people that are interested
want
in
some.
it, so.
So, yeah, my garden is full. I know I haven't showed the garden in a while. I'm going to try to do a video this week, but it's all set up, which is great. It's still about a week too early to plant, but it is set up, ready to go, which is really exciting. The no-till garden bed, so I can't believe that I got it done. Like,
You did. You worked
moved
super
all
hard.
that dirt, set up all that cardboard, cleared out that stall, got new goats. So,
It's almost like you're a real homesteader.
almost, yeah. I just don't have the wool dress. Is that what they all wear? The linen dress and
Yeah,
the hat.
the linen or cotton dress. You need a big straw hat.
I need a big straw. I
floppy
do.
straw hat.
I need a big floppy straw hat. Just wear a lot
We
of
need to figure out
sunscreen
where
instead.
Mary Sue got hers.
Yeah.
You
I
get one
guess
of
I
those.
just need the outfit, and then I'll feel complete. I do have a lot of aprons. I wear a lot of aprons.
It's very true.
So it feels good, though. We learned a lot. I've learned a lot. And I have some complaints about how the entrances and the exit to the barn is set up now that I've had to clear it out because it was really inconvenient trying to get things moved where the fencing is and the doors are, and everything is up a huge step because the barn is really weird. I feel
It
like
is
whoever built
super
that
weird.
barn, I don't know what they were thinking, but it's kind of got like it's like they built a crawl space and put a barn on top of it, is what it feels like. Like
No,
it
I
goes
think-
into the ground, but the concrete's like a foot above the ground, so you gotta step way up into the barn.
Underneath, there's like they poured a concrete slab. It's like 2 inches or so, and it's falling apart on the inside. The concrete is, but underneath is just all gravel. So I feel like I literally think once we clear it out, it's gonna be like 18 inches of gravel.
But why is that in there?
I have no idea. It's really weird. It's odd.
I have so many questions. If we could just go back in time, figure out who built
Yeah,
that.
and that shed or barn, it's not that old. It's not nearly as old as the house. I don't know. I would say like maybe the 70s or so is what I was thinking. The 60s or 70s. If I were to guess, that'd be my guess. It's not even that old. But I don't know.
It's just
And
it's a
it did
strange
save money.
is to dig down though, and then 18 inches of gravel. I don't understand.
I don't know.
I have questions.
Maybe
So-
someday, if we knock it down, we'll see what's underneath and it'll all be clear.
You'll be the first person out there with a sledgehammer though that I have. You're ready for that.
Yeah, it's done well for us.
It
but-
has. It has. When we first bought the property, the insurance agent was like, "That's not worth anything. You just need to knock it down." Whoa, whoa, whoa! Just wait. We're gonna use it.
Well, I mean, it was like totally overgrown. You could
Yeah.
only see like half of the barn because there was so many trees and plants growing up all three sides and even kind of the front.
Right.
We had to do some major clearing out of that thing to get.
That was like the first video you ever made, was clearing out around the barn, I think.
Yep, pretty much.
You almost died in a wasp's nest. It was exciting.
Really? I
You
don't
remember
that
you were
part.
disrupting a hornet's nest?
In that barn?
On the outside, around all that brush. So,
I don't remember that.
but it has served us well. So if it was built in the 60s or 70s, it wouldn't have shag carpeting. Yeah, it's not gravel.
Probably.
It's 16 inches of shag carpeting. Yeah.
Maybe under the concrete there's some shag carpeting too. Wouldn't surprise me. That one of the first things we did, the previous owners left all their trash and junk, and they actually left a note for us. It said like, basically, sorry, we didn't clear all of our junk out of here, out of like the property in general.
It was a lot.
There was a lot in the basement. There's a lot. There's still a lot actually on the property. There's a lot in that shed. So we basically emptied that whole shed of all their junk, and then just siphoned it down to our trash like a couple pieces at a time.
Took us like a year, I feel like.
Yeah.
Except one day our trash driver, because it's like a rural, it's not really a company, it's like a guy who owns a trash truck. He was like, I see you had all that trash, that junk up there. He's like, if you just want to bring it down, I'll throw it away. So he like...
Yeah, he was
called
like,
a
don't
whole
be
bunch-
afraid. He was like, don't be afraid to bring some more down. He's like, I see you guys are trying to clean this place up. So, because their rule was like
2 bins or something
two
like that.
bins with only 2 bags in it each or something like that was their rule. And so I was trying to be a rule follower and not throw too much extra away. But he was like, just bring a lot of it down. So we got rid of it pretty quick after that.
So
Anyway.
we have cleared up pretty good. It's a mess right now. It really needs organized, but
Yeah.
that's a big job for another time. So, do you know if the previous owners watch your channel? I don't. No, they might. I don't know. We did find they had like a Instagram or something. They had, I forgot what it was, but they had a name for this place when it was there. It was Rose, but it was a bunch of words. One of the words was Rose. And so I, looked it up and saw some of their pictures, but they didn't have like a YouTube channel or anything. I do know their names. I've never seen any commenter that looks like it's that name. We're not, I don't know, in the world of YouTube, we're pretty tiny. It's a little needle in a haystack. They would have to be looking for us.
They would probably have to like know somebody that knows us,
so
I think, to find us. When they had it, when they were down here a lot, it was really pretty. They were really good gardeners. Like they had a ton of
like
flower
gardeners,
everywhere. They had sheep out in these pastures. They had horses.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty much what they had, was sheep and horses. Maybe, I don't think they had cattle. I think it was sheep and horses for the most part, but yep. Let's see. Pete says, we found at least 3 dumps on the property here. Yeah, a lot of the places where we have, trash are where old buildings fell over.
Yeah, and they just were left.
And they were just kind of left. And so we've got a couple of spots on our property that way too that need to be... It's just like, what do you do? Like, I don't know what what the ethical thing to do is.
You want to light them on fire and set the whole forest on fire or something like that.
Well, yeah, but the problem is with a lot of those buildings, on some of them, the wood's already been removed, and so what's left is just metal and trash. And so there's not a lot that you could even burn.
And snakes.
Yeah, all kinds of little critters, but
We'll figure it. One of our goals, we've talked about it, and Sam talked about it, maybe in the next year, we're really going to focus on cleaning up the property. There's just so much junk everywhere. And it's not something that takes money or anything, really. I mean, some of it, I guess you take stuff to the dump, but it's just time, and it has to be like kind of focused time. And so he's just never had the time to do that, and that's not something I can really do by myself. So we really like to do that, because it is... I don't want to say it's like depressing, but when you walk out your door and see your property, like you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, like that's kind of what it feels like. There's all this fallen over stuff or already fallen over stuff, and it's just looks gross. Like,
yeah,
you want to enjoy your property.
Yeah, I told Laura once once I'm done with school, like my main goal for the next year was to try and clean the property up as best we can, get rid of all the trash and junk, and just leave it crystal clean all around. So there's we've got old fencing here and there. It's just, you know how it is. Let's see, Katie says, the guy we bought our property from never went to the dump for 8 years.
Wow.
It was nasty. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, so I wanna really try and clean it up and get it sparkling, looking good.
Yeah, that'd just be nice. And also just the general concern when you have piles of things or old buildings, like animals and things that you don't want crawling around live in there.
Oh, and your animals can get hurt on it and stuff.
Or your kids can get hurt on it. So we'd like to take care of that, hopefully.
It'd be nice.
It'd also be nice to be able to vlog and not be like, well, I don't want to show that trash pile in my video. Nobody wants to see that mess in my video, and kind of, so...
Let's see. EW says, we had neighbors once upon a time in a faraway state from where we are now that had their trash buried on the land. It was an old guy, and that's just how he had always done it.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting because, like, historically, that's not really a problem because you weren't going to bury anything, really. I mean, maybe metal cans, but in general, you weren't burying anything that wasn't going to eventually biodegrade, but that's not true anymore. You know, you can...
Oh, everything's plastic.
So much plastic, or tires. So now we have a different type of trash problem. Where before, burying trash on your land wasn't, it was fine because you had the space to bury it. Yeah, because it was gonna eventually disintegrate anyway, and it wasn't gonna leach anything onto your land or possibly into the water supply underneath your land. But now we have a different type of trash problem. Well, depending on how you live, a different type of trash problem. So it brings up different ethical debates about, how to handle your trash on your property and things. Because I know people who burn everything, including plastics and rubber and things, which, that's not really that great for the environment. So, but it's free, which, and when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you may not have access to trash. So people just do what they need to do so it doesn't pile up. So.
I don't know. He also had a burn barrel.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the country have a burn barrel. So. We try to burn paper stuff.
Yeah, we burn a lot of just our paper and cardboard and things. Our kids go through so much paper. So.
They would hoard it if we let them.
Oh, we caught Micah today. She was like trying to sneak into our room, and she had like this huge stack of white paper. I was like, no. That paper is for the printer.
Best laid plans.
So, all right, we gotta let Sam get back to studying. We'll keep you informed. We got lots of cool videos coming up this week. We got
little baby goats.
A really yummy cookie from the canning pantry tomorrow. With that dessert I made in the crock pot, or Ivy made in the crock pot.
Yeah,
really
that
good.
was fantastic.
And then baby goats. We got a trip coming up, and he's got some hospital visits we're going to go to. So, got lots coming up. So, thanks for joining us tonight. And next week, I think we should be good for another live, and we will see you guys all then.
Let's see. Lois says they had a burn barrel for many years, and Pete says good luck with school in the garden.
Thank you, Pete. Enjoy all your syrup.
Yeah. All right. You guys have a good week. Thanks for watching.
Night.
Night.